Welcome to this edition of Sema na ADC. My name is Catherine Muraga, and I lead the team here at Africa Development Center in Nairobi. Today, I'm excited. I get to host this panel of, let me start with the lady, Dr. Paula Musuva, an assistant professor at USIU, United States International University here in Nairobi, and Dr. Lawrence Nderu, who is the chairman, Computer Science Department and lecturer at JKUAT, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Karibuni sana.
Asante.
I'm excited about this conversation. Now, to kick us off, I know you both participated in faculty skilling training program that we facilitated here at ADC. And our aim was to, first of all, besides collaborating with the world of academia, equipping lecturers. Because as you know, iron sharpens iron. Yeah. When you reflect on your journeys, you're from the private university, public university. When you reflect on that time where you went through that training, I'm sure it presented opportunities, or I'm curious about your reflection, opportunities to partner as public and private. Maybe you can share, has that started? Is it ongoing? Is it a challenge you want to throw to other lecturers? I don't know who wants to start.
I can start. So thank you so much, Catherine, for having us. Mm-hmm. So as we are talking right now, we've been planning a hackathon. It's going to be hosted at JKUAT, and it's going to be a hackathon with one of the public corporations cups. And we're bringing students to innovate and invent around areas of different topical areas within computer science to provide solutions, to challenges that we're seeing. So I think that already is testament to a very informal way in which we plugged in and started working together to organize a inter-university event, bringing in the public, the private, and actually I think all the universities that were present there are being involved into the organization of that hackathon.
Austin.
So I think for me, not to be very rigid about how such change should happen in a sense, there could be an easy path through networking and collaboration among at the peer level. I'm not as senior as Nderu, who's now a chair of department, but I still can influence some of the things that are being done at JKUAT, even at a peer-to-peer conversation level, for example. So institutions may take longer to adjust, but I don't know what Prof. Nderu has in terms of that. But it could still be possible to start doing this even from the peer, if I could say grassroots level, and start bringing some change. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, and thank you for those points that you highlighted. Very excited because the meeting that we had faculty to faculty training at the RIP project here also showed that we all have a challenge from whether you are from public or private. The teaching has to be relevant to the student. We also have a grant application, and that's also something else that we see. We already have one where we have included universities. The idea around generative AI, it was actually something that was praised by Microsoft as part of the organizations that have called for that. And we feel that if you think about a problem like, for example, currently the way students submit assignments, we have not thought about the way AI work like ChatGPT is going to affect the way the students do submit the assignment. So I think my view is that those are the points that you pointed, even applying for grants, peer-to-peer training, like from this faculty training, we already proposed our team. We were in a team called Ryan. We proposed an idea around creating a faculty for faculty kind of a training to try and improve the impact that the program will have. Essentially, those are very good ideas that we can borrow and use and work together, both at the university level, whether it's private, public, and also with the industry.
Awesome. As I'm listening to the two of you, I'm drawing parallels too. So, for example, in the developer world, there's a huge developer community, and depending on the language that you choose to code in. So I look forward to hearing even more success stories. I want to change gears a bit and just to touch on, you talked about the hackathon and hacking on particular topic or problems. Mixing it with, yes, you've been trained, public, private, churning out graduates at the end of each course. we know one of the biggest issues in this country is unemployment. I mean, if I look at my own direct messages on Twitter or on LinkedIn or even just WhatsApp messages, it's so heartbreaking because so many people reach out and say, hey, I've graduated, I have this degree or these courses in technology. Help me secure a job. What do you think we need to do, either as academia or in collaboration with industry, to create jobs? Because it's one thing to keep saying, yes, we have a problem, but what can we do? Yeah, what can we do? And I know you're very passionate about an innovation hub. I'll come to you later, but I want to start with you. What can we do? And it's not just Microsoft. Academia and industry, what can we do to solve for this?
I think a nice question, and thank you for that kind of the background into the challenge that we face. Every day I wake up, I ask myself whether you look at the way we have structured our program. We look at it like you train students, you let them go, and then you hear somebody telling them, go and become entrepreneur. Why don't you start a business? Whereas you are a politician employed by people, whereas you are a lecturer employed by the government. It's not the kind of conversation that is really motivating to the student, where you tell them that go become an entrepreneur. What I think is that, though that can happen, is that we can start that journey early. For example, you have people like Bill Gates starting companies when they are young. Microsoft is starting when they're in university and leaving the university and seeing that they can first of all pursue this kind of entrepreneurial idea they are working on. And we have such examples of those people. I'm not telling them to leave the university, but at least I'm telling them, when you are at the point of even a first year, second year, it is possible, even lower, it's possible that you could be working on an idea. Let the university not be the barrier where you first of all have to wait and hold as you pursue the degree. It should be a path that helps you pursue an interesting thing as you pursue your degree. So there's an idea I have, and therefore I can nurture it. The beauty of having that kind of an approach is that you can fail and fail several times because you are within an environment. So what we need is to build like those sandboxes where they can try, fail things, and then instead of just creating people who will go out there and get employed, there are people who have something that they are working on. And employment is big, and that's why the effort by Microsoft on curriculum review comes in as a very good way of you do not need to be employed by Microsoft, but you have the skills and you can be employed elsewhere, or you can use those skills and use the tools that are available to even create your own businesses or even work elsewhere. So I think that's something that I would say.
And very interesting. And I'll come back to you on your mindset, because you've touched on, before you give us your views, you've touched on even, yes, it's one thing to have an idea, you have it in the sandbox. How do you attract funding? This market, we are very big in terms of asset classification. So do I put money in this startup idea, or do I buy a piece of land? I'll come back to you. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. And just to ride on what Dr. Nderu has said, and I'd like to speak of a project that I'm currently involved in. It actually started last year in 2022. It's called Cyber Shuja. So Cyber Shuja really is mandated to address youth unemployment. And Catherine, I know it's very heartbreaking when you've educated your students and the parents have invested a lot, and you still find them jobless, and they're always, communicating with you and asking for opportunities and asking for assistance. So there's this big problem we are seeing of a mismatch between industry and academia. And we're also seeing there's the youth unemployment. We can see the jobs are there, but our students are not able to access them. So what we said is, we came together with a proposal and we said, let's put together a grant application and apply for some funding where we can try and nurture this seed idea. As we speak, we've been able to take over 500 beneficiaries through this program, and we've been able to place 265 of them in jobs. So that's a big success. Now, what we're trying to do with Cyber Shuja is this. We're saying, we're taking ownership as academia. We've not prepared you as well as you need to be for industry. But we said, let's bridge you through a 3-month process. And we'll work with you for 3 months. We have designed specific industry need targeted curricula, all hands-on, all skill-based, two areas of skill, not just the technical, because we realized industry saying we're not just only about the technical skills, we really want to grow the soft skills as well.
Absolutely.
Soft skills relating to even just the element of being a continuous learner, that's a soft skill, because that's what is really needed in this industry. Collaboration, problem solving, emotional intelligence. So some of them are even to help them handle and be resilient in the industry. So we said we're going to deliver a curriculum for 3 months that will emphasize on key technical skills that the employer is looking for, but also grow you in your soft skills, including ethics and integrity. So that's a very key pillar for us. And for the 3 months, we'll be with you. We'll have mentorship sessions with people in industry, and we will have a bridge after that to help you prepare your CV, grow your brand, have a portfolio of projects, and then help you apply for jobs, help you interview, and teach you how to interview until you get a job. So what were our key learnings even just out of this? I think one of the key learnings we've seen is that there are jobs. Tech industry has jobs. The only problem is whether we have identified and named those jobs very clearly and designed curricula to equip the people who are applying for those jobs with specific skills so that when they apply, the skills come out and the recruiter can see, okay, this is the person I've been looking for. So, and also just being able to encourage these young people. And I think one of the soft skills we realized is just resilience and just having somebody know how to sell. We don't know how to sell ourselves. Even I fall short in that sometimes. So how do they sell themselves until they get employed by that employer? So I think these are some of the things we've been trying to do and learn. And let me also just say, Prof. Nderu knows this is a program that has benefited across, whether that's public or private universities. We've been working with over 60 universities in Kenya. Regardless, we take students from everywhere. We're not saying it's a USIU project because we're in private. No, we're saying this is a need that we've seen within Kenya and probably will also grow beyond Kenya because we've committed for 3 years to address Kenya first and learn before we maybe push it out beyond that.
Wow, that's commendable. Congratulations. That's like a 50% return on investment. 50% of the students actually secure jobs.
Yes.
Oh, commendable.
Yeah.
Dr. Nderu, let me go back to our earlier discussion on the Innovation Hub. And I liked your thinking around provision for sandboxes for students to try out some of these projects that they are working on. And I also like something that we talked about earlier. Let's start working on projects from first year, continue building on it. Now, as much as, yes, you said universities and through such there's an opportunity to teach students that you can also be an entrepreneur. I would wish to hear your views around, whereas that is great and I support it, the mindset around how do we as fellow Kenyans consider, I have a lump sum amount of money and I want to make an investment. Instead of always going for that piece of land, and there's a place for that type of asset, how do we start thinking about investing in startups?
Nice argument, because I agree that as a country, our culture, we have been focused on the issue of land and how important that is. And I agree fully. There's a position for investing in land and assets and all. But I also think we also need to start, especially the young people, and I have seen some activities around that. People investing, like saying you have a startup. So here is how I see it working. If you have a sandbox, like saying an hub, like something like that, and you're building some solutions, and then you create some ideas that can be businesses later. Like I visited the University of Munich and I saw patent that they're having and all that kind of thing, and those eventually, some of them are going to be businesses that are starting up. We must accept to start small. So you start with your own idea. You start working on an environment. You get some facts about the way businesses are run, because there are 3 things that needs to be correct for you to succeed. 1, the ecosystem, and there's a lot of activity in building the Kenya ecosystem. Number 2 is the funding. Number 3 is the regulation. and policies around how we build that. So if you think about that investment and trying to build a sandbox that helps you, that even as an investor, you can be sure that even if the amount of benefits that you will get are secure to a good extent, then you can be able to put your money in this. And these are some of the things that I'm saying, as a society, we need to think through them as a way of trying to encourage local investors to come in and put their money into this startup that are grown within our universities.
I like that. And now allow me to shift gears completely, and let's talk about gender. Okay. Just reflecting on my own journey. I went to a private university, computer science, class of 40. We started off as 9 ladies. I think only 5 graduated. And out of the 5 into the job market, very few, I think only 2, have stayed with the engineering aspect of technology. So there's that data set. Another data set, when I reflect on each year, Minister of the Cabinet Secretary, Education, when they release results for Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, when you look at the percent of students who get 50% and below in mathematics, it's appalling. So there's a drop rate issue, and then there's a mathematics issue. And why is math important? One of the key things from a technology perspective, technology is just a tool. It's about problem solving. And I believe that's one of the things that mathematics teaches. Why do you think we have such a high number of students not making at least even 50% in mathematics? And I want to channel that question to Dr. Nderu. What do we need to do differently from a mathematics and then building up on problem solving? And then for you, what do you think is the issue? Why the high dropout rate? And what can be done? Is there an opportunity? Yeah, I don't know who wants to go first.
Okay, I can touch on this. So I think we have a benefit, Catherine, to reflect on our own experiences, even as we respond to a question like that, because we ourselves have gone through that system. And, reflectively, we can look back and say, you know what, this is exactly why I think even a lady within this path that I've taken would likely exit at some point. So I think the first thing I think is the kind of self-confidence that ladies have and whether they get enough encouragement to still push on even when things are tough, especially in a male-dominated environment. You see, because women and men, I think, sometimes would approach issues in a different way. So maybe a man can be a bit more combative and, very forceful at it. But a woman maybe might be more reflective, still as strong, but maybe a little bit more reflective. And if they don't get encouragement to approach the subject, whichever way they approach it, but as long as they succeed in it, but it's okay, then you might have a difference. So I think there have been different studies done in terms of even just in a class environment, how the teacher conducts the class, appreciating, recognizing, pulling out and pointing out the women makes a difference in how they succeed in that class. And the approach that the woman might take might be very different from how the men might take it. And let me also include parents. Even as parents, how we encourage the women to be confident even in the subjects that they find very challenging. So if we can encourage the women, it's a very difficult topic. Yes, accept it, but don't doubt yourself too much to a point you start giving up and you don't push beyond where you really need to go. So if there could also be ways in which women can be supported as they transition through those phases in life, because God appointed us to be able to do that role in society. So what structures can we still put in place to make sure that these women don't get discouraged and fall out of the job market when those natural phases in life really happen? So I think those are some things that I would actually just say would be very key in the discussion.
I love that. I think as I reflect before I go to Dr. Nderu, you know how in Kenya we are very big on chamas, groups. As you're talking, it just occurred to me. One of the things I drew a lot of strength from 2 other ladies who were in class with. And would spend a lot of Saturdays just trying to figure out some concepts in calculus. Yes. So women, we are big on chamas or coming together. We should draw from the similar concept from a society perspective to soldier on.
Exactly.
Thanks for that. Dr. Nderu, mathematics. What is wrong with mathematics? Is it the teaching? Is it high school? What is it? Is it a myth that it's hard?
Yeah, so I think first of all, it's very important to appreciate the relevance or how crucial the subject mathematics is, and it's important because of that problem solving aspect. As Dr. Paula has said, the idea that mathematics is a language is that we try to understand the world, the abstract nature of the world. So what I would say is that realizing that relevance, it means that there is something we need to do. As you have given data, it is bad to hear that 50% of the students never made it to the mathematics. One way is to look at the way we teach. The way we make class look like a separate entity from the real world. That could make it look like the mathematics that I'm doing in class is very far-fetched from what happens out there in the real world. We also need to think about taking success stories. And I remember one of the areas that I was very happy about is the mathematical competitions that used to happen. Yeah, because you could be able to have, you could get somebody coming in and presenting a solution to a problem and thinking, wow, so that is the way they see the world. You see the way they see the world and they're able to solve this. And that opens up your mind in terms of other ways in which things can be solved. So I also feel like we need those kind of competitions to continue. They were helpful. You have people coming in, they socialize, but alongside that, they also socialize in the name of, for example, mathematics, in the name of solving some problem. And if we can be able, for example, to solve this problem related to trying to encourage people see maths as one unit that they relate to, it also helps us also solve the issues around dropout up there so that people can see that this is natural to them. That is what we need.
Wow. Rich, actionable insights. This has been a very good conversation. Thank you, Dr. Paula Musuva, Dr. Lawrence Nderu, for your rich insights. Wiser, and a lot for each one of us to think about and say, where do we plug in as industry? How do we rethink things as educators? How do we rethink things as parents? And there was also some actions also for students. What do we need to do differently if you're a student and listening to this? Thank you so much for joining us for this Seminar ADC session.